issue here. Iranians are heading to the polls today to elect a new president. Many are wary, though, of how the candidates were handpicked, which is causing concern for very low voter turnout. CBS News senior foreign correspondent Elizabeth Palmer is here with more on that.
Good morning. In conservative areas of Iran with a large religious population, voters have already begun showing up. You can see some of them at this Tehran polling station behind me. But the question is, how many of the 60 million eligible voters overall will actually bother to cast a ballot? The authorities are worried about an embarrassingly low turnout. The leading presidential candidate, Ibrahim Raisi, has no appeal for many middle-class people, or especially the young. He's a senior judge close to Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, and a real hardliner. If he wins, he'd be the first Iranian president to take office already personally under sanction by the United States. That's for his part in the crackdown after protests in 2009 and his alleged supervision of thousands of executions during Iran's revolution. As for the nuclear deal currently being renegotiated in Vienna, Raisi said he would respect it if it's signed. But in the 3 years since President Trump pulled the U.S. out of that deal, Iran has ramped up its nuclear program. Raisi would take office with a stockpile of enriched uranium that's closer to weapons grade than at any time in history.
And Elizabeth Palmer is joining us now live from Tehran. So, Elizabeth, I want to pick up where your story sort of ended there when it comes to the, the nuclear deal and how the election results could affect the relationship between Iran and the U.S. It certainly seems, at least from what I got from your story, it's unclear in regards to the nuclear deal, but what about the broader relationship?
The nuclear deal, if they can dot the I's and cross the T's, looks as if it will happen in the coming weeks. That's because both sides really want it. Joe Biden has made it clear that he thinks it's a better way to rein in Iran's nuclear program, and the Iranians really want it because it would mean the U.S. would lift some sanctions, and they are desperate for that sort of sanctions relief because the economy has really shriveled, and people have been really seriously impoverished. In the bigger relationship, a new hardline government with hardliners controlling all the key parts of the whole Islamic theocracy, it's going to be a thorny time. We're probably going to see more confrontations in the Gulf between American warships and the kind of harassment we've seen from Iranian military patrol boats. Unlikely that Iran is going to go the extra mile to help out with peace in the Middle East. Iran will probably side with China where it can on big international issues. So even though there will be a nuclear deal, there won't be, the mood music is not peace and love, that's for sure.
You talked about the economy shriveling, no doubt, impact of the sanctions as well as other things. I'm wondering just how much that is in the forefront of voters when they're heading to the polls. I mean, you got to be able to put food on the table. You got to buy things that your children want. That's got to be a driving force.
It really is, and the hardline candidate, Ibrahim Raisi, he's campaigned hard on the fact that he was in charge of a huge, if you like, state fund, which has been used to give out food and money to the poor. So those are the people who are going to turn out and vote for him because he stands for immediate relief. For people who have a little bit of disposable income, they have the luxury of caring about things like freedom of speech and internet freedom and so on. And they're the ones who have really been turned off with the prospect of a hardline government. Furthermore, and maybe more importantly, they've just sort of given up on the government's ability to control things like the U.S. sanctions. If you remember, under the nuclear deal, the Iranian government said to the Iranian people, look, we're going to sign this thing, and the sanctions will come off and we'll all be better off. Then President Trump pulled out of the deal and put on more sanctions. And so the moderate government that's outgoing ended up with egg all over its face. It promised sanctions relief, didn't deliver on it, And now people have said, right, well, you know, you're all pointless and useless, and we're not even going to cast a ballot today. And that's what we'll see at the end of the day, I think, just utter disillusionment with the power structure.
So then the consequences of low voter turnout may be a more conservative-leaning government, I presume. Like you pointed out, it's easier to appease the more desperate people, the poorer people, because they need some basic, they have some basic needs they need, basic needs they need. They need shelter, they need food. It's easy to give them what they want, and so they're the ones more enthusiastic about heading to the polls.
Well, the government is worried about low voter turnout because, on the one hand, it's going to return the results that the theocracy wants, that is the hardline candidate close to the supreme leader and so on. On the other hand, not much of a mandate. And so that's the not voting is a way of protesting non-violently, and it's not going to look good on them. And so they're going to be walking quite the tightrope, on the one hand saying we won, but actually not very decisively. So that might rein in some of what would otherwise be more unpopular decisions. We'll have to see, but it's certainly not the kind of election they would have wished for.
Yes, Elizabeth, those are great points. Elizabeth Palmer, thank you so much.
Pleasure.